Hello, and welcome to Invitation to a Conversation. I'm Pamela Bailey. My guest today is Dominique Mack. She is the Executive Director of Family Connections. Dominique is a brilliant writer, counselor, and advocate for women and girls' empowerment, known for her unorthodox approach of marrying spirituality with her rebel tongue. Dominique breaks down the complexity of healing in a relatable, inclusive, and accessible way. Dominique's events and trainings are informative, interactive, and calls to action for change. Her work has been featured everywhere from the Huffington Post, XO Nico, Elite Daily, Blackfinity, For Harriet, and many others, advocating healing through one's own story. She shares her personal experience of shame, generational trauma, and body image struggles merged with her therapeutic skill set. Dominique is the creator of the Soul Work, a wellness community for women of color seeking wholeness in every area of their life with intention. The Soul Work Women's Retreat is a carefully curated one of a kind, luxury yet affordable wellness experience centering Black womanhood and women of color vulnerability. Good morning, Ms. Mack. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for accepting my invitation to a conversation.
No problem. I'm glad to be here.
Good. Um, Reading your bio, what made you get into this? We have several topics we want to try to get through this hour. What made you come together and do this Soul Works?
It's called Soul Work RX, and it was um, a vision that came out of working for community action a couple of years ago, and I led this grief and loss session, and I was doing this session, and the alchemy of the room was so thick and so heavy, and it was like spirit met therapy, met everything that these women needed, and I was like, man, I really got something here. I wonder how I could do this on a larger scale. So I went home that night and I literally could not sleep, and I started texting my friends, and um, literally every person that I know are social workers, are therapists, are um, in some sort of helping field. So I already had a team and didn't even realize it. And over 7 months, I put together this retreat, and 40 women came, and it blew my mind. I thought it was something that I was just going to do one time. And they said, no, we want more. And because of the pandemic, I never got to do another retreat, but I continued to do like group work online. And we talk about everything from unpacking emotional baggage um, to trauma, how to, work through things with yourself, self-esteem things, how to build your confidence, how to own your power. And it's been amazing. I've done two groups of, well, actually three groups of this now. And every season, every quarter, I try to do one or at least two per year until we can go back to doing things in person.
Is it women of every age and
It's women,
diversity?
yes, it's women of every age. I even do it for different companies and agencies. I do group work about boundaries, about how to advocate for yourself. It's pretty awesome. So yeah. Um, and then I do speaking engagements about, various topics on race, on crisis intervention, domestic violence, leadership, all kinds of things.
And what did you go to college and major in?
So I got my bachelor's and my master's degree in social work. And my work background has always been in victim services. And then from victim services, I moved to more community development and community programming. And that's been my regular kind of 9 to 5 job of what I have done for the last 5 years.
How did you, what was your interest to get you to doing social work growing up?
Yeah, so growing up, I had really the main thing I always tell this story was my uncle. My uncle had been in prison, in and out most of my life. And probably I think it was like the last 2 or 3 years, he really started to change his life around. And he got out and he really started to make a lot of positive changes in the right direction. And a year later, he died. And uh, I still have his pictures in his letter that he used to write me in prison. And I was like, I wonder if there was someone, on the other side that was helping him and kind of doing like reentry type work is what drove me into doing social work. But I actually have never worked in reentry services beyond doing like things like prison ministry and going into the prisons. And I used to lead group work with women in prison when I did an internship one time. And I always said that the last act of my life, when I don't have to worry about money and all of those things, when I'm retired, my life is going to be going back to doing reentry work, because that's really one of my big passions. So that's one of those things. It's kind of like I have a lot of things that I'm interested in, but I'm gonna do that the last act of my life is what I've been saying.
What is Family Connections?
So Family Connection is actually, I'm a contracted position. That means that I'm free to do anything. It's very flexible. But Family Connection is a state-funded nonprofit that creates solutions for issues that arise within the community. So you basically take community needs assessments and you create a strategic plan to, in a collaborative environment with nonprofit, government, business, religious community, and you create different programming together. Yeah.
Can you name I know y'all have various programs, but for the listening audience, can you name some of the main, I know all of them are important, but some of the main programs that y'all deal with daily?
So daily, a lot of the work with Family Connection in the past has been early education. So there were programs that were started, like Kinder Carnival, which is to increase the number of children who are enrolled in the state-funded pre-K lottery program. There was also programs like Parent University that were designed to teach parents those things that we think that we all come with, which is kind of like how to bond with your child, how to read to your child, how to empower young men and young women, what are some good healthy nutritional things, how to decrease screen time. What does healthy screen time look like for a child? So that program has been very successful, and I think there's been about 3 cycles of it. And I'm actually maybe 6 months into the job. I probably need to count, maybe 5 months into the job as the executive director of Family Connection.
How many counties does Family Connection serve?
So Family Connection is actually all over the state of Georgia, and it's in every single county. And I am a part of Region 12, which is everything from like Charlton County all the way out to Ware, all the way down to Camden County. But for Family Connection with Dominique, I only serve Glen County, but I work with my counterparts and doing work with them quite often.
How did you get connected with coastal area and then follow suit into Family Connections?
So it's actually a kind of an interesting story. Um, When I first came back to Brunswick, because I'm from Brunswick, and I came back in 2015. I went away when I was really young, when I was 14. Went to high school in Miami, college at Florida State. That's where I got my degrees from. And then I came back here in 2015, and people people start laughing. It's because I came here and I got pregnant the first week that I moved to Brunswick. Yes. And I didn't have a job. I really kind of started my life all over again. And I was on food stamps. I had Medicaid. Um, and the day that I got my food stamps cut off was the day that I got the interview for community action. And it was 2 years later after moving here that I finally got another job. And it wasn't just any job, it was what I called my dream job. Because in 2014, I had wrote down everything, like my vision for my life and what I wanted to do. And it was like that when I read the job description, Miss Pamela, it was everything in that job description that I wanted to do was at that job at Community Action. So I knew it was destined, it was ordained for me to do that work. And I took that opportunity and I maximized it. And I got to create, man, like 7 different programs, from women's empowerment to new housing programs that were brought into this community, a water program to help customers here. I was over a budget of $2 million when I worked at Community Action. I had a wonderful staff, 5 different counties. It was really a dream job. I love what I did. I absolutely loved it.
I think that's your purpose, because for a
Mhm.
short time you left and took another position, and now you're back, but you're back in another
Yeah, in
part
another
of
role.
coastal
I
action.
Yeah, so I have continued on. To be honest with you, I never really quite left. I've said with all the different jobs I've had, it's kind of like just a bunch of kind of lateral moves, if you understand. The reason that I left community action is because I got a handwritten letter. I'll never forget it. A handwritten letter from the city manager at the time asking me to apply for the job. And I met with him and I met with the staff and I said, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna learn this side of community development from a government perspective. And I did. And it was like I outgrew the position so quickly. And even at my time at Community Action, I had surpassed, really, I had surpassed what all I could do in 3 years. And I say this not to be braggadocious at all, but sometimes what it takes people 10 years to do it, I might can do it in 3,
Right.
because that's really just how hard and how focused I am when it comes to my work. And then I left the city of Brunswick, and it's because I knew that my season was over. I knew that what I was doing there at that time was finished. So I left. I left,
So,
and I needed to do something else.
so basically the challenge was gone.
Yeah, I wasn't growing anymore, and I needed more opportunity.
You felt
Because
stagnant. You felt
yes, I
stagnant.
felt very stagnant in my role, and I love creativity and innovation. And um, it was difficult to get those things accomplished. Yeah, in the role that I was doing. So I took this contract and doing a few other things. I took a major pay cut
Mhm.
in order to do this, but it gave me a lot of flexibility, a lot of freedom. I went through some seasons of heavy loss. So I really needed that time to rest and reprieve from losing my grandparents and who raised me. That's when I left Brunswick, I went to live with my grandparents. So yeah, I went through a lot of loss back to back, back to back. So I really needed that time. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And sometimes, listen, sometimes I've heard that the dream job that you are always wanting doesn't pay, but it's just the glory that you are doing something that you like to do. So that is your payment,
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
it is your that is your payment, but I'm also going to be honest. Black women need to be paid what they're worth.
Yes.
Black women
Yes.
should be able to live and celebrate life and have a good life and not have to work themselves down to the bone in order to enjoy life. And I'm very passionate about that. And I think that Black women should be paid their worth. And oftentimes we don't get paid our worth until we ask for it, you know.
Yes, we work hard hours and we're still struggling to make that bill
And I
have
don't think that
something
that's
left
fair.
over afterwards. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't think that's fair or appropriate. So that was another reason why I had to leave community action. I'll be honest with anybody about that. I got a $20,000 increase when I worked for the city of Brunswick, and I needed that money.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And it helped me to be settled and comfortable in my life. I don't want to be struggling. I don't want to have to work so hard and then I don't have anything to show for it. That's not fair. You know what I'm saying? And how can I be telling other community and women about how to get to a good life and then I'm not enjoying it? That's not accountability.
Mm-hmm. And right now, that's very true. And right now, currently, with COVID going on, you have a new passion, a new drive, and it is COVID. Right now, before we get into the community about COVID, how is Coastal Action handling COVID and being equipped with it coming back again when we were on a downslope of it?
Well, I don't know how community action is handling it because I don't work for community action. I work for Family Connection. And I know that from the Family Connection side, the things that we're doing is getting all of our partners together. And we came up with this initiative called Vaccinate Glen. And we're trying to increase the number of vaccine clinics that we have available here in our community, as well as getting people to trust and understand the effectivity of the vaccine. And we can only do that by having trusted people like our Black fraternities and sororities, our churches, and our leaders here to tell people about it and going out into the neighborhoods and building those relationships. Because I think a relationship is going to be the key to us ending this.
It has to be some type of trust between understanding the vaccine, understanding the side effects, and understanding the healthy part of it. One thing I want to ask you about is, so I keep trying to put you with Coastal Area and Family Connections. So is Family Connections an entity of Coastal Action, or is that two different?
It's two different entities. So Family Connection is funded by the state, and it's a nonprofit, but it is a nonprofit that falls under the arms of another nonprofit. So basically, Community Action is my fiscal agent, meaning they take care of our finances and they provide the funding for the program, and then they're reimbursed by the state. So the Community Action, by providing the fiscal responsibilities, is providing in-kind support. So non-monetary support through the workings of their staff and their agency. And that's how they're giving back to this agency. Yeah. So that's how Community Action and Family Connection go hand in hand. And then we also have partnership on different programs that we have. Where it comes to like Parent University, a lot of times Parent University is housed in a Community Action building. So again, that building that we're housed in provides that in-kind support. A lot of times they also provide volunteer services for the different programs that we have. And then we're meeting the needs of the population that they serve. So working hand in hand together. Does that make sense now?
Yes, it does. What is your personal mission for Brunswick and Glen County with your Healthy Glen?
with Healthy Glen, I I just want people to stop dying. That's my mission. It is to increase the number of people that are vaccinated. I hope that by the end of the year we could get to 100%. Because to lose 62 people from August 2nd to the end of August 2021, that should be a wake-up call that we had to bring in a mobile morgue because we literally do not have enough space in our hospital. That again should be a wake-up call. I have lost so many family members to this virus. I've lost three male cousins of mine to this pandemic in the last year and a half. I have lost um, my my one of my aunts recently, and then you know what else we have lost? We have lost when we do have other people that pass on. We can't even grieve in the same way. We can't have funerals in the same way. When I lost my grandmother, I remember we having to do it at a graveside. Losing my other family members, we never got to go and have anything because of the way that the world is shaped. We've lost community. We can't even be in the same spaces without having masks on. We've lost so much. So I woke up one morning about 3 weeks ago, and I said, well, what is within my ability? What's my talent, and what is my purpose on this earth, and how I can help this fight? And my talent is organizing. My talent is leading and putting the right people in the right places in order to do things. So I got to be obedient to my gift. And somebody else's gift may be, well, I can tell somebody else about this. I can share it on my Facebook page. Their gift may be to actually providing the vaccine. There may be a healthcare official, whatever that gift is, you know what I'm saying? Just be obedient. And my mission for Glen County as a whole is that we would have just a healthy, safe, sustainable community, that everybody is housed, and we're not afraid of losing shelter because of finances, that everybody could, go and take advantage of our local places that we have, and that we would patronize our local minority women-owned businesses is very important to me, and that they would have the capital that they need in order to sustain their businesses, and now we would just be thriving. Overall, I got a lot of ideas and vision for this community. I love it. I love Brunswick.
And one of the things is small businesses here in the past always said there's money for small businesses. But when certain individuals go to get that money, it is red tape for them to get it to afford the business that they need. So Healthy Glen is all of those things that you spoke of. What are some of the things that people say that you have met during your Healthy Glen drive of why they have not been vaccinated yet?
So the things that I have been hearing is that I don't know what's in it. I want to see the vaccine being tested on multiple people before I make a decision about it. Um, I'm afraid that, I'll get sick or I'll die from taking the vaccine, that a lot of people are receiving misinformation from just the internet instead of going out and doing their own research, which happens a lot of times. And I think that the main reason people aren't taking it yet is because it hasn't hit their doorstep. It's because they don't know anybody that's died from it. And at this point, I think we all have, found somebody that has passed away from it. And it's like, this is the solution that we have in this community. And we gotta be able to take advantage of those solutions. And the only way that we keep having resources in our town is when we utilize them. When we don't utilize resources, guess what? They're going to up and leave here.
And then they don't come back to find us because
Correct.
we're not utilizing the monies that's out there and using it. So they just bypass us. They know that we're not going to ask for it, and they know we're not going to use it. So yes. I recently heard someone told me that was not vaccinated. They don't want to get vaccinated because they have underlying health conditions and they don't know how that vaccine would interfere or help with their underlying conditions. What would you say to somebody that you met that had that type of fear?
I will always say consult your doctor, consult your primary care physician or your specialist when it comes to that. And then I will also say, you know your body, and you know when something is not, aligning, you know what's best for you. But then I will also add a caveat to that. Make sure that you're still doing what you're supposed to do, vaccinated or not. And that's masking up and socially distance as much as you can. And we're not all perfect. I know we're not all gonna do this the best at all times. We're still just figuring it out. To be honest with you, get your ish together. Get your ish together. You know what I'm saying? You got to make the best decision for you and for your body. I'm not placing this on to anybody. All I want to do is encourage you to know that this is a safe alternative. And if it's not for you, then don't do it. Yeah. I'm never going to take away somebody's right to self-determination.
Right. So during your drive, you had a drive Friday at Ladies K. Have you ran across people that were not ready to take the shot and they decided to take the shot when you explained to them the need for them to have the shot?
I have. One of the best things that I did most recently is my godmother had been contemplating it for a while. And I let her to come around in her own time. And I said, hey, I'll take you. I'll support you. I will be there for you. So her son dropped her off because he had to go to work. I took her up there to get her shot, held her hand, said prayers with her, whatever I had to do. She got her shot. She came home with me, took care of her, made sure she had her fluids, and she was fine. She said her arm hurt for a day. I said, if you need to stay another day, that's what you do. And I think that it goes back again to relationship, And I recorded it and I posted on my social media. And I had a young lady said, because of you bringing this into our community and you're bringing it to a place I know. So they may not go to Walmart or Winn-Dixie or to Sam's Club or to the hospital because they don't trust those folks, but they trust you and they trust an establishment like Lady K's. So they say, if Lady K's is going to stand behind this and I trust her enough to serve me, good, delicious meals, then I can come to her business and then get a shot. And one person inboxed me and said that I got it and sent me her sticker. And she said, I was really afraid, but because you were so adamant about breaking down this barrier of access and this resource, I did it. And and my grandmother always told me, Dominique, if you touch one person, you've touched 1,000. So I'll leave it at that.
So how did the drive turn out? Was it a large turnout? Was it a good turnout?
No, it was not a big turnout at all. It was like people trickling in here and there. I haven't received those exact numbers back from Coastal Community Health Services, but I will report on those numbers. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why the people didn't show up, but I know that we did our part and I know we got the word out. It was shared multiple times on the internet. We went out to the neighborhood and passed out information and we did all that we could do.
How long will you be in the community with Healthy Glen to do this?
At least probably until the end of the year, I'll be working on this. Yeah.
When is Healthy Glen's next event?
It is going to be on, I think it's September the 8th, this coming Wednesday. It's going to be this coming Wednesday from 2:00 to 6:00 at the Rise Risley campus at 1800 Albany Street. And we're going to be having food, we're going to have incentives, and we are going to have vaccines and other information about housing, about jobs, really just going to get the word out again. And we're going to have our folks from Coastal Community Health Services out there.
Latanya Abbott Austin, she was
That's
just
right.
on the show. Yes.
Yeah.
How many times a week will you have this vaccine drive?
Right now we're probably setting up for about once per week. The one after this one at Rise Risley will be at a church. I'm not sure of those dates, times, and locations yet, but as soon as I receive word about that, I will let you know.
Will it be during the weekdays, weekends, or it doesn't matter?
It's going to be on weekends and on weekdays. Yeah. But
Okay.
yeah, I'm going to have a calendar and I'll be sure to share that with you.
Okay. Miss Mack, who inspires you?
The person that really inspires me the most really is my grandmother. I feel like my grandmother taught me everything that was most vital in this life, even though she's not here anymore. And she just meant so much to my life when, just being there for me in general. And now my words can't I feel like my words are not coming to me, but yeah, it was definitely my grandparents. They really provided me with a good life when I experienced a lot of trauma growing up. And they provided me with an alternative way. And you know what also inspires me? Reading in general. When I was younger, books opened up a world that I did not know existed. So I was just saying, yeah, my grandmother, not just my grandmother, probably been the biggest inspirations in my life.
What is your favorite scripture, phrase, or testimony that keeps you grounded?
Well, the first one that comes to mind is it goes back to having a vision for your life. Write it down. So the Habakkuk 2:2, write it down, make it plain. And then my other one would probably be my favorite quote is actually from Tyler Perry. You can be born into a nightmare and God can usher you into a dream.
Ooh, you can be born into a nightmare and God can usher you into a dream.
God can usher you into a dream.
And you are a living example. You said coming up, you experienced a lot of trauma. And God has ushered you into a dream. Look at your first job. You said the requirements for your job was everything that you were looking for. And look at what you're doing. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah. You couldn't tell me that when I came here to Brunswick at 3 days old, and literally just me and my mom with the clothes on our backs, and I would be where I'm at today, 32 years old, executive director of a nonprofit, and have a beautiful, thriving baby girl, 5 years old, and she's doing good, and having a healthy relationships in general is very important to me, because I feel like a healthy relationship sets your foundation for everything else that comes into your life. It teaches you about when you going on a job, how to manage and maintain, how to have self-worth, how to know who you are as a person. And to me, all of that culminates to having a good life.
Yeah. And people see other people at their best, with their stars, with their shining, with their moments, with their 15 minutes of fame, but they just don't know how they got there.
Mhm.
And that's why I love to ask people when they come on this show. um, I think a lot of people choose their major based on what happened in their life or what they experienced in their life as a child, a teenager, or seen as an adult. And that's why I asked them what brought you into that career choice. That's
Mhm.
and it's just the stories are just amazing to me. Um, and I appreciate you. I've seen you when I used to go to Family Connections meeting, and that's the first time we met you. But look how you blossom since that time, across all various and now into the community with your voice being heard. I'm proud of you and thank you for your service to our community and back to Family Connections with this underneath coastal area. What kind
Mhm.
of wisdom or advice would you like to leave the viewing and listening audience?
Always know who you are.
Mm,
Um, and by all you I always tell people all you have in this world is your good name, and your good
mm,
character will take you farther than any
mm,
education you have, any experience you have. Treating people well, treating people with love and kindness,
mm,
and having a vision for your life, and not being afraid to mess up
mm,
and to do it anyway, have fears, and to keep practicing. Life is really a story of practicing and failing and triumphing, peaks and valleys. But I promise you, as Dr. Martin Luther King said, that I may not get there with you.
do. Mm,
I
mm,
may not get there with you, but you will reach the mountaintop.
mm.
So knowing who you are and having vision for your life and treating people well will always get you far.
And knowing who you are, that phrase is so phenomenal because I tell a lot of young people in my family and outside my family, when you walk through this journey of life, you can avoid a lot of pitfalls or a
Hmm.
lot of temptations or a lot of other things if you just know who you are and
Yeah,
stand in that truth and
yeah,
don't have anybody manipulate you into doing something that you know you might regret down the road, you
yeah.
know, or
Yeah,
forget
that
about.
knowing who you are, it really it tells you about your patterns in life.
Yes,
It tells you about your boundaries. For
yes.
yourself. It'll tell you about what you're willing to do and not do.
Ooh.
It keeps you safe. It keeps you sane,
Mm,
and it also gives you a bigger picture about where you're going. You
mm-hmm,
know, it's kind of like when you know who yourself, you also know God. So
mm-hmm,
to me, it's kind of like you and God are on a accord. You're communing with your higher self. That means you're serving your highest purpose when you
mm-hmm,
know who you are.
mm-hmm,
You
mm-hmm,
know, and when you know who you are, you will never fail yourself.
mm-hmm.
Never.
Mhm. Where did I read it? I read where somebody said, "Don't let anybody else tell your story of who you
Hmm.
are. Tell your own story. Tell your own story." Yes. Well, thank you, Miss Mack. It was good seeing you again. Take care until we meet again, and you continue to have a blessed weekend.
You too. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
And I will work wherever you need me with your healthy Glen where I can.
Yes, you do. You do all the time.
You do. Have a blessed weekend. Take care. Peace.